forward in the face of COVID-19 and the Delta variant. And we'll move forward in the face of Omicron variant as well. And we'll do it by keeping the faith and doing it together as the United States of America.
Welcome back to another edition of Enough Said. It's an emotional one because after about a, 2-month hiatus.
Yeah, I'm back.
Justin Gaard is back, and Lori Fisher, who never went anywhere.
Well, it looks like she moved. She got a new apartment in the North Loop, it looks like, and she's working from home today.
Nice background you've got there, Lori.
It's temporary.
It looks really nice.
Don't get too used to it.
It's very solid.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, we're all back together. And the big story is COVID-19. Because the latest variant is in Minnesota. First, it was spotted in California and now Minnesota. The vaccinated and boosted patient from Hennepin County had recently traveled to New York City. All his symptoms are gone, but the World Health Organization says the new variant will have serious consequences. What can we do? Basically get vaccinated and get boosted, Dan.
Well, there was the local newspaper, the Star Tribune, my former paper, top of A1. One of those sky is falling banner headlines. And as a pro-vaccination guy, as a non-denier, I'm not one of those deniers that said this has been the flu for the last 18 months or however long this thing has been with us.
Yeah.
We do need to calm down a little bit. And I think those of us in the media tend to play it both ways, where we go, well, no, we're just trying to give you information. But the way you present it,
that's it,
is the contradiction to that. There will be plenty of time for us to find out the sky is falling. But let it fall first before we have these kinds of headlines. This individual, on the basis of what we know, for what it's worth, had mild symptoms, has already recovered, didn't spend a minute in the hospital, and he's okay. Now, that doesn't mean it can't be dangerous.
Right.
But let's follow it. And many scientists, as you know, are saying, they're not convinced this is going to be a horrific step. They want more information. We need more information. But that's the part of this that drives me crazy. We're down that road where we're already saying, oh my God, before we know we need to say, oh my God.
I could say enough said now because I don't know what I could add. But you mentioned how the news is delivered. Everybody knows we're a headline society, right? We've been trying to say, hey, go below the headlines, scratch below the surface, read a little bit longer in the story.
The headlines and the clicks.
The headlines and the clicks, you try to get it, right? So you see that, Omicron here, capital H-E-R-E. I think I spelled that right.
Isn't it Omicron or is it Omicron?
I don't know. I heard the president say something. I heard Lori say something else.
Which sounds ominous in of itself.
Well, it does, and that's the other thing, because the Delta variant, Delta, it's fine. Delta, we can handle it. Greek alphabet, all that, and whatever. This one's called much more ominous. Is right in there. But you're right. Vaccinated, as Lori said, boosted, 2 days, had it even before we knew what this thing really was, and now he's fine, and we move on with the rest of our life. So basically, like the big knocker, Bill Maurice told us, just keep doing what we're doing.
Take the steps you're already taking.
And we'll see where it goes.
Yes, and it might be horrible.
And then we'll do something about it at that point. But if you're vaccinated, if you're boosted, if you're already wearing masks in places, okay, let's see what happens.
If you're in the media and you're telling people it's all about following the science, which is important, then the scientists haven't said yet, or they're not all in agreement yet, that this is going to be the worst case scenario, right?
Correct.
So let's let it evolve and play out.
I watched a 1-minute video on how to pronounce it. It's Omicron.
Omicron. That's what I thought, yeah.
So there we go.
There's no N. Omicron.
You just watched it now while we were talking? That's impressive.
No, but the same video had it several ways. But
can you pronounce it Omicron?
Omicron.
How about Omicron?
I think some people have said that as well.
Yeah.
But
Let's do a Fox 9
you
poll.
put an N in there.
Fox 9 poll at the end of the show. We'll see what we vote with.
Buccaneers wide receiver Antonio Brown is suspended without pay for violating the league's COVID-19 protocols. He and 2 other NFL players are accused of misrepresenting their COVID-19 vaccine status. The Tampa Bay Times reported Brown had a fake vaccination card. How do you think this Brown case compares to Aaron Rodgers? Because Aaron Rodgers misled the media, but the league knew he wasn't vaccinated, but much different consequences, Dan.
Well, that you've kind of said it. I mean, Lori nailed it. I know there are a lot of Rodgers haters and a lot of Vikings fans.
Yeah.
And those probably are in the same group,
You're looking
actually.
at me. I don't feel attacked because I put you in that
They want to say, well, wait a minute now. How come he didn't get suspended several games? These are 2 completely different things. Now, I happen to think the Rodgers penalty was too light.
Correct.
I don't think that changes with this. But there is a very big difference between lying to the public and lying to the National Football League and creating a phony certificate that seem to confirm that you got shots you didn't get. That might end up even being criminal.
Right.
So that's the distinction and why Brown is getting exactly what he deserves.
Like Evander Kane in the National Hockey
That's
League,
right.
He
That's
was
exactly,
he was suspended for a long time. I don't know if the percentages are the same, but A-Raj has nothing to do with this one. He lied to everybody else. NFL
You think
knew,
he's still lying
Packers
about his toe?
knew. Probably.
You think he has COVID toe?
I don't actually believe anything he says, except about like what he saw in a particular play in 1999. Because he's one of those guys that remembers everything. Which is why he's so great. Yeah. But this one, it's all about lying to your team, lying to the league that is trying to put this thing together. All these things were agreed with, and it's kind of to generalize. You might not like the rule, but it's the rule. Yeah. So as long as we're going to have the rules so that we can do all these other things, you got to follow them. And, they should be getting hammered like they're getting hammered.
Rodgers, again, there was a legitimate question about whether he was always following protocol. Yep. And that, I still feel like there should have been a tougher penalty. Now, the comeback to that was, it was only occasional. But there was no deception that we're aware of
30-second stand
to the team itself and to the National Football League. And that's what makes it, as much as I ripped him for lying and for then trying to turn himself into the victim and the martyr, along with Joe Rogan, that he should have, that still pales in comparison to what we're talking about here.
Enough said. Yes. Oh, you guys are listening great today.
Maybe it's because of that new spot you're in. I don't know.
You're much more authoritative with the bricks behind you.
Mesmerizing background.
Again, don't get used to it. Up next, after coming off the exciting win against the Packers, the Vikings lost to the 49ers on Sunday. They take on the Lions this weekend in Detroit. The Vikings now 5-6. The Lions 10-1. But the Vikings can't take their losing record for granted. Here is quarterback Kirk Cousins on that.
When you watch Detroit, you see what we've talked about with the parity in the league, and while their record isn't certainly where they want it to be. They're in every game. They're playing down to the final play, the last drive. We've certainly lived that too, and so we certainly understand what's out there for us, but we're going to have to play at a high level, and it's not going to come easy.
Panicked? I'm not panicked about this game like you are. I think they do bounce back, the Vikings. Now, here's what I'm
falling into the trap.
No, it's not necessarily about the Lions so much, because they've played 2 really close games and a tie in their last 3, right? They tied Pittsburgh, and then they lost 2 really close games. And the Vikings, as we just saw, they needed some help to put away the Lions at home, which is a lot of help. Scary and sad. But I'm thinking,
go ahead, count on that again.
No, I'm not, but Dalvin Cook, probably no factor.
He's out. It's official.
So defense. A lot of guys that are no factor.
I think we got Alvin Tomlinson back on the defensive line.
And that's about it. We don't know about Peterson yet. Like, there's all these things.
Barr.
Exactly, that we don't necessarily know about.
That makes you more optimistic?
I'm not worried about the Lions as much as grand scheme of things. I'm worried about the Vikings moving forward, because they're in that spot that we all feared they would be in. That they're good. At the beginning of the year, we said, couple of injuries in the wrong spots, and this team is in trouble. And then they went ahead and punted on a couple of games at the beginning of the year that gave them no margin for error. They're at that spot where they have no margin for error anymore. And when you have no margin for error, you need your people healthy. And they don't have that either. So that's what I'm worried about, just more globally.
Well, put it this way, though. If you find a way to lose this game, the rest of your concern, the grand scheme is over.
That's true.
It's not going to matter.
That's true.
You mentioned it. They tied, lost by 3, lost by 2, lost to us by 2.
Yeah.
Now, they have gotten blown out.
Yes.
They should get blown out. So, to me, this is the classic game of don't let them get excited about the possibility of finally winning a game. Boot on the throat early in the game. Take the life out of them. The more you let them hang around, it's going to be the classic case of you make a couple of mistakes, and then they got a chance to win the thing. And sooner or later, they're probably going to win a game because they're not good. But
it's the NFL.
It is an NFL, and sooner or later, they're going to play better than they're probably even capable of. And we got a quarterback, by the way, your guy, coming off one of his worst performances of the year. He did nothing in the second half to help his team, given every opportunity to do it, even after that missed field goal late.
And now he gets to hand it off to Alexander Mattison, who's functional, and actually when he's had opportunities,
we had a big game against the Lions,
actually. He did, exactly right.
We've got 2 kickoff returns.
Like I said, words can't describe how I'm feeling right now. I'm happy, my family's happy, and like we said, it's nowhere I want to be. This is my home.
Just like us. Welcome back to Enough Said. Twins outfielder Byron Buxton signed a 7-year, $100 million contract extension. He's 27 years old, was drafted by the Twins out of high school back in 2012. He would have become a free agent next season. This is the biggest deal in Twins history since Joe Mauer. It seems like it's a win-win for everybody. He's happy. Are you guys happy?
Would it have been ironic at all if he had like slipped on his way from the
hurt himself
podium and pulled a muscle? And,
yeah.
Here's the thing. I think we're both in agreement that the Twins had no choice but to do this. Otherwise, you shut it down.
Yeah.
Here's a question I haven't thought much about and talked about. I want to run by you. Do you question the judgment of Byron Buxton for agreeing to come back to a team that to this point has done absolutely nothing to indicate it is in the mood to rebuild a pitching rotation that no longer exists? I'm not sure if I'm him, given all, I know this is a lot of guaranteed money,
yeah,
but I'm not sure I wouldn't have waited this thing out and said, where's the evidence that I'm not going, even when I am healthy, I'm going to just be wasted here because we don't have a pitching staff. We don't have a pitching rotation.
I don't question his judgment because Minnesota is that special of a place. And as he said in the press conference, he wants his kids to go to school here. He wants to grow up here.
Yeah.
If anything, I think that shows how shrewd he is.
I'm guessing Lori agrees.
Yeah, Lori wrote that down. Yeah. I get your point. I do question his judgment when he says, now my goal is to win as many rings as possible.
Yeah.
I said, well, good luck with that. And hey, that's great. That would be good. And if you play 150 games every year and they get some pitchers and you're the player that everybody thinks you can be, then maybe that does happen with all these new prospects that we've gotten. For like Jose Barrios, for example, who they didn't want to give reasonable money to. You're right. They had no choice but to do this because what is the alternative? And that's in the summer when he turned down the original deal, which was kind of laughable. Some of the things that they threw in there. It was a waste of time. But when you saw, so I thought he was done.
I mean,
the signs were he's out of here. They're not going to come to.
And they're going to trade him.
They're going to trade him. That's what they're doing. But when
we'll have a bunch more prospects.
When I read, yeah, we need more. When I read that Jim Pohlad was feeling queasy about trading him because of the ramifications. And I said, well, that's the beautiful thing. Jim Pohlad's the one person that can actually control this and give the money that Byron Buxton wanted. And at the end, that's what Jim Pohlad did.
Is he guaranteeing, I'm more interested in whether he's guaranteeing the front office people that he's not queasy at all about spending the money.
That's a great follow-up.
To supplement things with a real pitching
You're
rotation.
right.
Because most of the best ones are already gone, even ones that were realistic for the Twins to get.
It's a good question.
That's the concern.
We're going to talk about the Wild.
Look at you
because
beaming.
I know you love the team so much.
Glowing.
Everything's coming together for them, you guys. Coach Evison says everyone's producing. They beat the Coyotes 5-2 on Tuesday, and then the Devils 5-2 on Thursday. That's a 5-game winning streak if you are keeping track, Justin.
Yeah, keeping track. Well, and the biggest thing is the guy I like to call 97, Kirill Kaprizov. He's on fire. On fire.
You're one of the people who panicked.
I know, I was. I did panic. I didn't panic.
Pretty close.
I was pretty close to panic.
Well, he's exposed.
No, I didn't say that.
They're playing better teams now, and he's just not that good.
The fact that they were still winning a lot of those games when he wasn't playing well and when Fiala wasn't playing well, I thought that was a nice sign for this team. Now he's been sensational. Another 3 points. The goal that we're probably going to see here last night was ridiculous. He had another one of those great moments.
4 goals a game is like routine.
I know.
We used to kill to get 4 goals in a week.
And you've got guys like Mikko Koivu who were at once bitter because they were cast aside, even going, okay, this makes sense. I see why you wanted to make some room for some of these guys. Now, again, it's all going to come down to the postseason. It's all going to come down on how aggressive Bill Guerin wants to be at the trade deadline to help fortify this team. But the signs are at least promising now for the next few years that they're going to have something.
Key question for you. Michael Russo, is already basically campaigning for Evison to get a contract extension, that he's already seen enough.
I think he's earned it.
I'm waiting. I'm telling you, yes, I want to see it. I don't think this is how I think teams get themselves into traps. It looks wonderful.
Yeah.
He's done a really nice job. Their record last year was very good. This year, it's one of the couple best in hockey.
Right now.
But I know it's wonderful right now, but eventually, it's going to be about what we do in the postseason. Is it not fair to see what he can do there first?
I don't know.
30 seconds.
I mean, it's not like he's had a bunch of postseason exits. I mean,
no,
he has.
That's true.
He took one in the bubble, and then obviously last year they lose in 7 to Vegas.
Don't get too giddy too soon.
I'm not saying lifetime contract,
well,
but at least
it sounds like that's what Russo wants to do.
Reward the guy for a job well done here, and you know me, I hand out
the guy
contracts.
who wasn't even supposed to be the guy.
I know.
We all assumed Guerin would want to bring in his own person,
and
he's done a really nice job.
He has.
He absolutely has done a nice job.
Great. Let's talk Timberwolves. Are things starting to come together for that team as well? They lost against the Wizards on Wednesday, but were much happier on the court. And with their performance, December's schedule, though, is expected to be a lot tougher, Dan.
It's a good litmus test month.
Yeah.
Because we have seen improvement. We've seen more victories. We've seen more excitement. We've seen progress in a number of important areas. But I think this month there's one team under 500, at least when the month began, that we're going to play.
Right.
And we already lost to one of them over 500. We've got some people out with illness that's apparently non-COVID.
Yep.
There are some nice signs here. I will admit, I've told this to a number of people. I have a blind spot right now. Even Cat played really well before he got hurt against Washington. But honest to God, if somebody soon doesn't sit this man aside and say, stop playing the victim role as if you're being assassinated every time down the court
with
when
the
a
officials.
foul, when a foul is not called. Because even if he is being fouled as much as he thinks, and he's not going to get calls. It's not how the game works.
Right.
In fact, human nature being what it is, and we're not proud of it, but it's the truth, I think there are referees who are vowing to say, I'm never going to give him a foul call because he acts like he grew up in the game of soccer.
Yeah.
Stop acting so wounded.
And he hasn't earned it either.
No.
Like, it's not like a 10-year superstar who's because those guys do, right? LeBron's going to, Durant's going to. Can't do it like that. I don't see Edwards complaining a lot.
No,
right?
he doesn't.
I don't see Anthony Edwards complaining a lot. So there's this yin and the yang.
Seconds.
And a lot of times when Towns unravels, then the team unravels, then the crowd unravels, all of it. I've said this before.
Another one of the big men, too, is starting to do it, too, and that's where it becomes, that's the kind of contagious you don't want on your team.
I'll say, I hope that I've said this before, for the modicum amount of success that the Wolves have had, for the reaction they get from their fans and from the town, it should embolden them to continue this and go further.
Absolutely
because they can take this place over. Nothing has happened yet, and people already love this team.
I thought it was the state of hockey.
They're showing up. Yeah, it's like the city of hockey and Lori Fisher. That's basically
Okay, we got to wrap that up.
That should embolden you and inspire you to continue to do the things you've done here in this last stretch to win even more.
Okay, next up, we're fitting a lot in tonight. The Gopher football season ended with a big bang. They beat the Badgers, getting that axe back. Of course, we know Justin was there as fans stormed the field. I'm glad you're okay.
Thank you.
And something else to cheer about, Tanner Morgan said he's going to be back next season, and we'll find out on Sunday which bowl they will play in, right, Justin?
And it sounds like they're getting the band back together with the offensive coordinator, Kirk Shiraka, who was part of that 2019 season, part of PJ Fleck's rise as a head coach, and part of Tanner Morgan's historic season. So hopefully they can put those pieces back together. Here's how I describe the season. I don't know if you agree. Good season, great moment, big missed opportunities.
I think that's very well stated.
Is that fair?
I think that's very fair.
They could be playing tomorrow night on Fox, 7 o'clock, against the Michigan Wolverines for the Big Ten Championship, but they didn't go out and take that Iowa game. And to their credit, against Wisconsin, they went out and took it.
They played well.
A team that...
Their defense was terrific.
Exactly. And in the second half, when they got to turnover...
They attacked.
They didn't stack points. Big pass, big run, touchdown, 3 passes, including the touchdown to Chris Ottman-Bell on the second touchdown drive, and the game was over. They went after it like you need to against Wisconsin and Iowa.
If I remember that team, I'd still be bitter with my head coach because I'm not convinced he gave them, to your point, the best chance to take that game. They may have lost it anyway if they'd have gone for it on 4th down. There's no guarantees, I grant. But to me, that's going to be the biggest haunting part of this whole season is if we'd actually tried to win that game, where would we be in this situation? That's, to me, what's still frustrating, not to leave out the Illinois debacle and the debacle against Bowling Green as well. So we'll find out, too, whether it is about the coordinator now, right? Because you got the quarterback back for year 9 and the coordinator back. And if, indeed, there's still problems scoring, then maybe it is more about the quarterback regressing on his own or other issues for the team, correct? And is PJ going to let him open it up, though?
I don't think Shiraka. I think Shiraka is the one guy
who can get it, can convince him?
Because he's worked for him for a while. He's
Stop doing Wisconsin chants.
Welcome back to Enough Said with Justin and Dan and myself here, all back together again. We'll see if we can do it in 4 minutes.
What is this, the lightning round? I think the whole show has been a lightning round today.
We've just tried to fit in so much stuff, and here we go. The Foo Fighters canceled their show at Huntington Bank Stadium not long after it was announced that they were going to be there. The band said due to the stadium's refusal to agree to the band's COVID safety measures over the summer, the band said they wanted everyone at their shows vaccinated. Dan.
Well, this is fine. They can do, obviously, like a lot of bands, they can do whatever they want to do. The only thing that's a little curious, why did they wait so long? Because I think the policy at that ballpark was established, for better or for worse. So it all seems like it's a little late to go through the deal. But we're happy for the Foo Fighters, and we're happy for Huntington Bank Stadium.
And it'll be somewhere else, it sounds like. And this is for like next August, too, by the way, isn't it? Isn't it for a while from now?
Is that true?
I believe so.
Yeah, so we're talking about like 2022.
Most of the evidence, I hate to say it again, if you're following the science on outdoor activities, is not that we've not had huge outbreaks. Now, there are restrooms to worry about. I get that, but it hasn't been the end of the world. Stuff outdoor. That's been the distinction. Outdoors, indoors.
Why do you announce it if you haven't already ironed that out?
That's
the other thing.
When you're the Foo Fighters, you do whatever you want.
Next up,
you try to bully Huntington Bank Stadium. You know what? Huntington Bank Stadium,
wow, they refuse to back down.
They're fighting back.
Let's move on. President Biden was here in Minnesota for the first time since he became president. He visited Rosemont to talk up his infrastructure deal that he signed into law earlier this month that will direct $5 billion to Minnesota roads, bridges, $800 million to transit, $100 million to rural internet. Justin.
Did it say anything about the 394-94 split downtown? Is that part of the deal?
Do not have those details.
We don't have those details. Did he get a Juicy Lucy? I mean, that's the thing. What Minnesota?
Well, he was here for like 10 minutes.
Well, I know, and it's cool that he's here. First time that he's been here, right? It's always cool when a sitting president comes and visits your state. But I mean, did he really invest? Any wild rice soup? Anything?
I doubt it.
Nothing?
I mean, do politicians forget what city they're in? Like when concert performers.
Oh, for sure.
Where they'll
Right,
forget,
they need that
say,
piece of paper out.
Minneapolis, and they're actually in St. Paul or something like that. Does that happen to politicians?
Oh, I'm sure.
Too?
I'm sure it
Enough
happens
said.
all the time.
I agree, though. It is always fun when a president's here to have that like special moment at a deli or at a school or something.
You love
like
that, don't
You actually fall for that nonsense?
I do.
God, you
Up
are.
It's always
next,
candid.
actor Matthew
Oh, it's all earnest.
McConaughey
It's all genuine.
won't be running for Texas governor. He hinted at it recently. This is going to be a big race people are watching against Republican Governor Greg Abbott and Democratic Beto O'Rourke. So we're not going to be able to hear, all right, Dan.
Oh, we can still hear it.
Well, the interesting thing about him is he probably would have gotten some votes. I don't know how far he could have carried it. But the question has always been, what is he? Is he a Democrat? Is he a Republican? Because depending on what he's talking about, he seems to be all over the map, which, by the way, doesn't offend me.
I like it.
I actually am refreshed by that.
Yeah.
But I think he probably, in the end, figured out it's not worth it. It's not going to be worth the savagery that I'm going to have to
He doesn't need to do it.
Well, and you know what?
He clearly doesn't need to do it.
There's still a lot of romantic comedies that need to be made.
Yes.
And
With Kate
Matthew
When's the
Hudson,
last time he made a good one, though?
Oh,
Reese Witherspoon, J-Lo. Name them all.
yeah.
Oh, you're saying who you? Oh,
Kate Hudson.
co-stars? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we could go through
We
the
could
list for
revisit
McConaughey.
all of those.
When's
Jennifer
the last
Garner.
good movie? I mean, what's the last good movie he's made?
Well, he won the Oscar for Dallas Buyers Club.
How to Lose a Guy in
yeah?
28 Days.
That's not really a romantic comedy.
No, definitely
Okay, finally-
It's a
not.
little different than How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Which,
Or
by the
10
way,
days.
was-
I said 28. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Jack Dorsey stepped down as Twitter's CEO. He co-founded the social media site back in 2006. If you could request anything
God.
from the new CEO, I was wondering maybe an edit button, fewer trolls, Dan? What do you think?
I don't think you can do anything about fewer trolls. What I don't understand is the change that's already been made about you can't put a picture of somebody in without permission. If it's a private person, without permission of that person. The ramifications of that are remarkable, journalistically speaking. So I don't even know how you're going to legislate that, and it's a little worrisome to me. Maybe they're going to flesh all that out.
Justin?
The genie's out of the bottle.
What would you
it's a
change?
monster. It's out of control. You're not going to be able
And
to
that's
change
why the only thing I would be comfortable with is just shut the whole thing down. Just say Twitter's over. It's done.
Enough said.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can